may not express their emotions the way women do, or in the frequency that women do, but that doesn't mean that men also don't have emotions, or men lack the ability to empathize. Any man that lacks the ability to empathize is already dysfunctional and needs to get help. A man that lacks the ability to empathize needs to get help. That's not normal. That's not men and are not emotional. That's already a problem on its own, and you need to check out and deal with it. Because even if he's not treating you like that now, maybe because you're just getting to know each other and the love euphoria is still there, once that thing clears off, he bounces on you and he treats you like that as well. So don't say that he doesn't care about every other person, but I'm his he cares about me. Oh my darling, you are coming to that situation as well. Because if he treats every other person like that, he's definitely going to treat you like that as well. As a young unmarried woman, it is unsettling to hear so many married women talk about how toxic their marriage relationships are. How can the current 20-something women be a generation that doesn't repeat this struggle? Wow. I recognize that there's no Mr. Perfect and we won't marry Jesus, but I don't desire an abusive marriage. God uses even devastatingly hard relationships for his purpose. Yet, I know that because God places value on me, being in an abusive relationship is not his desire for me. Oh, this is someone that knows the word. I know there's no secret formula as long as we are in a relationship with another human being. Abuse is possible, and that's where her own ability to roar has to be developed. But if abuse is so prevalent in Christian marriages, do you think there are warnings or red flags we can look out for as young women to avoid getting into toxic Christian dating relationships? Wow. Yes, there are red flags that you can look out for. There are things that you can watch. As a matter of fact, I for one have deal breakers that I feel like if you begin to notice these things in your spouse or in your partner, that's before they become your spouse, you should then be very careful, and you may even begin to consider breaking that deal, right? I have I have some deal breakers that I always look out for. First of all, let me appreciate the fact that you know your what, and you know that God's plan for you should not include being in an abusive relationship. So what are the red flags you should look out for as a young Christian lady who doesn't want to be in an abusive marriage? What are the things that you can look out for? Number one deal breaker is unwillingness to accept negative feedback, right? Is unwillingness to deal with negative or to confront negative feedback. Some men, once they have a negative feedback, once they don't like the feedback you are giving for whatever situation or conversation you are having with them, they resort to becoming passive aggressive. They become passive aggressive. They start giving you silent treatment. They start being angry at you. They start even using derogatory words at you. They cannot receive feedback. They cannot receive criticism. They cannot receive negative. Once it doesn't go well the way they want it, then they just don't want to have. They cannot deal with negative feedback. If you're in a relationship with a man that cannot deal with negative feedback, that resorts to silent treatment, resorts to becoming passive aggressive, resorts to even using derogatory words at you, insulting you, then you need to be careful. If you're in a relationship with such, that is a toxic relationship. And if abuse has not started yet, then that relationship is already heading towards abuse. That's even if abuse has not started, it's heading towards abuse already, if you are in that kind of relationship. Number two thing you need to look out for is lack of empathy. Some women, you want to understand it away and say that he's busy, he doesn't know how I'm feeling, he's just a man. Men are not emotional. Men may not be as emotional or may not express their emotions as much as we women do, but that doesn't mean you should be in a relationship with a man that doesn't have empathy, that is not empathetic towards you, that cannot empathize with you. He doesn't care about your dreams, doesn't care about your hopes, he doesn't care about your ambition, he doesn't care about your desires. He just doesn't care. He cannot put himself in your shoes. He cannot even try to understand with you. He's just on this I'm a man kind of thing. He cannot put himself in your shoes. He cannot understand with you. He cannot reason along with you. Lack of empathy is a major red flag that women want to ignore and say that men are built differently from women. Yes, men are built differently from women, but that does not mean that a man should lack empathy. Now, that is no longer men being built differently from women. That's simply lack of empathy. Men may not express their emotions the way women do, or in the frequency that women do, but that doesn't mean that men also don't have emotions, or men lack the ability to empathize. Any man that lacks the ability to empathize is already dysfunctional and needs to get help. A man that lacks the ability to empathize needs to get help. That's not normal. That's not, men are not emotional. That's already a problem on its own, and you need to check out and deal with it. So number 2, lack of empathy is a red flag that you should watch out for. Number 3 red flag that you should watch out for is if a man must always have his way. If a man must always have his way, he cannot negotiate, he cannot reach a compromise, he cannot come to a middle ground with you, he cannot have a resolution, he cannot have a discussion and you both meet at the middle ground. He must always have his way. That is also another red flag that you need to look out for. That is another red flag you need to look out for. A man that must always have his way is a red flag. Is a red flag. If you're in a relationship with a man that must always have his way, if abuse has not started, their relationship is heading towards abuse. I mean physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. Those are the things that are already on the way. If you're with a man that must always have his way, a man that cannot reach compromise, a man that cannot negotiate, a man that cannot come to a middle ground with you, if you are with such and abuse has not started, that relationship is heading towards abuse. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, violence is already on the way, because it's the relationship, it's a partnership. You should be able to come to agreement, you should be able to come to confluence, you should be able to agree on issues. It shouldn't be his own way every time. Of course, in marriage, God designed the man to be the head of the family, but God also knows that the head of the family needs a helpmeet for him, and that is where you come in. And your help can come in form of opinions, can come in form of support, can come in form of suggestions. So if you have a man that is the head and he feels he does not need help, that's already not in line with God's plan again, because God's plan is that the man is the head, but that head needs a help. So the help can come in opinion, the help can come in suggestions, advices, support here and there. So if you have a man that doesn't want to listen or come to an agreement with you or anything, he just must have his way, then that is a big red flag. Now, the 4th red flag I'm going to share with you is if he only considers his own interest. It's similar to having his way. If he only considers his own interest, he doesn't consider what you need, what you desire. It's just his interest, just what he needs. And don't just check out how he treats you. Check out how he treats others, how he treats his parents, how he treats his family, how he treats his friends, his siblings, his co-workers, his staff, his members of staff. If he's a boss or a business owner, his members of staff, his workers, his employees, how does he treat them? Is he always just only concerned about his own interest and nobody else? That is a big red flag, because even if he's not treating you like that now, maybe because you're just getting to know each other and the love euphoria is still there, once that thing clears off, he bounces on you and he treats you like that as well. So don't say that he doesn't care about every other person, but I'm his queen, he cares about me. Oh my darling, you are coming to that situation as well, because if he treats every other person like that, he's definitely going to treat you like that as well. So a man that only prioritizes his own interest and nobody else, a selfish man that only thinks about himself, me, myself and I, that is a major red flag. It's not considering what you need, what any other person needs, what works for him. As long as it works for him, that is all that matters. No matter what any other person needs, no matter what works for others, as long as that works for him, then that's all that matters. A man who considers only his interest and prioritizes only his interest is also another major red flag that you should look out for before you go into relationship. I know there are women, in such marriages now with men who, men who only have their interest. That's the way you have situations like, even if, I don't want to have sex tonight, but he wants to, as long as he wants to, then we have to do it. That's you being with a man who considers only his own interest. Now, I know this is controversial. Some people even want to come for me because, we've also heard women preach things like, just give it to him so that everything can be fine. But the truth of the matter is that if that is a man who only considers his own interest, if your man doesn't understand the fact that you are tired and you are not up to it, and because he needs it, then it has to happen, then that's the man that considers only his interest. My husband will even say things like, should I even want to sleep with a woman who doesn't want to have sex with me? I also will say it like, when people teach things like that, it's almost like, should you even want to do that? Is there even a fun in doing it when you know that the woman is tired, is fagged out? What's the sweetness in it? Sex is meant to be sweet. Sex is designed by God to be sweet. So if I know she's not interested, or if I know she's tired and she's not up for it and she's fagged out, and I insist on doing it, then where is the sweetness? Where is the fun? The day my husband mentioned that, I said, that's true. That really negates a lot of messages that we hear out there, where they say that even if you're tired, manage and give it to him like that. But it is coming from the male perspective and saying to the men that, where is the sweetness if you know this woman is tired and you still want to go ahead and have sex with her? So that's the man that considers only his interest. He's not considering any other person's interest. Now, if you are dating now with such a man, of course you're not having sex. I believe you're not having sex, right? You're not having sex. You're single, you're Christian, and you're not having sex outside marriage, right? But if you have such a man that is consider his own interest in every other aspect, then if you end up getting married to such a man, these are kind of issues that you also begin to face after marriage. The issue of sex when you are tired and he's just insisting, and if he eventually goes out to cheat and blames it on you and say that it's because you didn't allow him to have sex. These are issues you will face in marriage if you are dating such a man now that considers only his interest and not any other person's interest. If you get married to such a man, one of the issues you should expect to face is the issue of sex, because he considers only his interest when he needs it, when he has the urge for it. He doesn't care whether you are tired or you are fagged out or you are backing a baby or you are doing something else. He just wants it because he's selfish. He only considers his interest. So you want to avoid such a man. That is a major red flag. A man who considers only his interest, who prioritizes only his interest, is a red flag. All right, so the final one, I'm sharing 5 major red flags with you today. The final one that I want to share with you is a man that avoids communication. You want to start a serious conversation, then he tells a joke and laughs it off. A man who avoids communication, he avoids giving you straight answers. He always goes corny ways. He always tries to avoid whatever you want to say and avoid the conversation, and just talk around it and not face the main point. He tells a joke just to laugh off whatever it is you want to say. A man that avoids communication is a red flag. He most likely have skeletons in his cupboard that he's trying to hide. If he says too much lies, it may complicate the matter and you may find him out. So he's afraid of communicating with you because he doesn't want to have to talk too much, so that the lies will not mix up on each other. He most likely has a skeleton in his cupboard. So that is a major red flag if you are dating a man who avoids communication or who uses guilt to get you to do the things that he wants to do, instead of having a sit down talk with you, reach a conclusion with you, reach a confluence with you. He tries to use guilt to get you to just do what he wants and have his way with you. That is a red flag that you should also avoid. So to this question, I have given you 5 red flags that you should watch out for if you are in a relationship and you desire not to enter an abusive relationship. Number 1 is a man who cannot deal with negative feedback. Number 2 is a man who lacks empathy. Number 3 is a man who only wants to have his way. Number 4 is a man who prioritizes only his own interest. And number 5 is a man who avoids communication. Now, if you have questions like this, you can send it to the email address right on your screen, or to the numbers right on your screen, or drop them in the comment section if you feel up to it and you don't mind, you don't need the anonymity. You can just drop them in the comment section, and in my next video I will be responding to your own question. God has blessed you.